Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wack and Trash Recap, the movie recap podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Mitchell.
And I'm your host, Zech Olson.
And today we are talking about Mrs. Doubtfire, which is a classic. But I'm going to share a little known fact, don't Google it, which is they try to make a remake.
Oh, did they?
Well, and you know how, they'll do like the gender swaps, like Ocean's 8 or the new Ghostbusters.
Oh,
They try to do it for Mrs. Doubtfire with Mr. Trustwater, and it just...
For real?
No.
Oh. You had me convinced. I was like, no, not a chance. Imagine somebody gets a butler.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that as an intro, so good job. You shocked even me.
Yeah, good.
I'm too trusting of a person.
I don't know. I think Mr. Trustwater could really take off.
Mr. Trustwater. Would he be a British woman
Trying to
impersonate an American man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, okay.
And she would do her darndest to have more impression.
Good intro. Welcome to the episode, guys. Here we are.
Alrighty, Mrs. Doubtfire. It opens on a bird, but not a real one, a cartoon one.
Imagine being Robin Williams and going into the movie and they're like, all right, here's the script. And he's like, what the heck is this? I gotta sing this whole song?
Yeah.
Because he sings like all of it.
He does. He sings along, and you're like, what's going on? And you got these guys recording.
There's like 4 sound operators and then the script supervisor.
Yeah,
or something like that.
and so he finishes his song with a big flourish, and he's voicing both this bird, who's basically Tweety Bird,
Yeah.
and then a cat, which I guess is like Jerry,
Yeah.
or Tom.
Which,
So,
is that how they do cartoons? Like in the old school days?
I don't know.
Because I would be so upset. So being an animator myself,
Yeah.
I would be so mad if they're like, yeah, just do all the voiceover stuff. And then, yeah, we'll just like record live. It would be so hard to get that accurate.
Well, I'm sure that they like fix it, like they touch it up a little bit. I was thinking the same thing.
Maybe?
I'm just very impressed that he's able to be like, oh, don't eat me. Oh, I'm gonna get you. And it was like they were so different.
Yeah. Well,
I know
it's
mine just
Robin
then was
Williams.
not. Yeah. So this cat's about to eat this bird, and the bird's like, don't I get a last wish? Or a telephone call?
And he's like, I'm not totally heartless here. I'll give you a last smoke or whatever.
Oh no, I'm gonna kill my lungs. Oh, I shouldn't be smoking. I'm a terrible person.
Daniel, what are you doing? You're improvising again?
Well, I didn't think it was a good idea to teach kids promoting smoking.
Your job is not to improvise. It's to read the script. Now you're going to read the script.
And then Daniel's like, he does a Gandhi impersonation.
I've got to do what I got to do.
And then he leaves. And they're like, if you leave, you ain't never recording here ever again. But Daniel's got morals. And he did not want to promote smoking.
And the words of Porky Pig.
Piss off, Lou.
That is like the ultimate mic drop moment. Whenever I quit a job, someday, that's how I want to go.
So Daniel leaves and he goes to pick up his kids from school.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's
they're
3
like,
of them.
Dad, did you get fired again?
I didn't get fired. I quit on my morals.
And they were like, okay, sure.
All right, whatever.
And you learn that it is his son, Chris. He's got
His
2 daughters.
Yes.
Don't
ask me which one's
Lydia.
which. Yo, you remember?
I remember.
Wow, good
The
job.
oldest daughter's name is Lydia. The middle son is Chris, and the youngest daughter is Natty.
Wow, I don't think I even wrote the son's name down. I think it was just Daniel's son.
Wow. You'll be ready when we do Karate Kid.
Oh boy,
Daniel's son.
Daniel. Good one. So it's you can do it.
What is it?
It's Charles.
No.
Charles' birthday.
It's Chris.
It's Chris's birthday. He was told by his mom that he cannot have a birthday party because he doesn't have good grades. But his dad's like, well, Mom's not gonna be home for 4 hours, so we're gonna live it up. And live it up they do. He calls in the petting zoo. They're pumping it up in the house.
The entire school basically is at the house, partying it up, having a grand old time. There's
Animals
horses,
running wild.
Goats.
Yeah.
It's a grand old time. And then you cut over to Miranda. That is the mother of the children and Daniel's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a boss lady who doesn't take crap from nobody.
Working up that corporate ladder.
Yep.
And she gets a message from her boss. He's like, Miranda, somebody called for you earlier. It was Don Juan Pablo. I don't remember his name. Stu. It was Stu. Why am I so bad with names today? It was Stu. Stu, your old flame from the days. He called to say that he is needing to renovate this Airbnb. It's like a $5 million project or whatever.
And apparently, I mean, this guy's a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Stu.
Well, he's rich. That's for sure.
What you learn. Miranda gets another call from her grandmother. Not Miranda's grandmother. Miranda's mother, the kid's grandmother.
Yes, yeah.
Granny's a snitch. And that's really why I want to marry an orphan. That way.
No family connections to get you in trouble.
Exactly.
That's the dream.
Mm-hmm. So
then you don't have to deal with daddy issues either.
Yeah, well.
Just abandonment issues.
Oh, yeah, that's much better. So grandma snitches and it's like, Daniel's having a party at the house. And so Miranda comes home and she's upset. There's a goat eating her begonias.
Begonias, I think.
Begonias,
Yeah.
but my mind kept saying baloney, is what it looked like I spelled. I didn't. She pulls the plug on a party, sends everybody home. The kids are upstairs listening to Miranda and Daniel fight.
And
Miranda's
boy, it's a fight.
Oh, it is quite the fight. There's a screaming match.
Finally, Miranda just reaches a point. She's like, "That's it. I've had it. I've had enough. I'm done."
We're getting a divorce.
Miranda, we can figure it out. Like every couple has its problems. She's like, "No, we've been trying for 14 years to figure this out. We're not gonna figure it out." And he's like, "But we still love each other, right? Right?"
That's Miranda's response.
Yeah.
Crickets. Absolutely nothing. She's like, I'm sorry, Daniel. Daniel is at his brother's house.
Mark.
And Mark is on the phone with Ma. Daniel, do you want to talk to Ma?
He's like, no.
Ma wants to know if you'll stay with her. He said you'll think about it, Ma.
Bye. He sounds exactly like that.
You get to the court case.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're in session.
And the judge is like, Daniel, you've got 3 months to get your life together. Until then, you can only see your kids on Saturday.
Oh, no.
And your wife has the rest of the custody.
No, that doesn't make any sense. See, I've been with my children ever since they were born. I've never been away from them for a day. I need to be with my kids, Judge.
You need to get a job in a suitable apartment, and then we'll revisit it in 3 months. And so that's the premise.
And he's like, okay, we're gonna do this thing. So he gets an apartment really fast.
You have like a little
send off
with the family.
Daniel
Chris
packs
is
up.
all like, it's all my fault. I should have never had a birthday.
You're like, oh, kid, no.
Oh no. Yeah.
And then after Daniel says goodbye to all the kids, he turns to his mother-in-law. He's like, thanks for the time, Warden. And she just gives him the meanest look. The youngest daughter, Liddy, whichever one is the youngest daughter.
Natty.
She's like, but who's going to finish Charlotte's Web with me? And he's like, well, you'll just have to have Granny read it with you. And she's like, Granny really smells. And he's like, well, that's because of the formaldehyde. That's why she's so well preserved. And of course, it goes right over the daughter's head. But
yeah.
It's a funny line.
He basically goes to social services.
Yeah.
And meets Mrs. Seller or something. Seller.
Dude, why are you looking at me?
Swindler.
She's a lady with a prune for a face. That's all we know.
She's all like, do you have any talents?
Do I have any talents? Well, I do voices.
You do voices?
I
want you to the incomparable Robin Williams. Do your best. It doesn't even have to be anything he said in the movie. Let's just do a quick run through.
Okay. I think I don't know if he does Owen Wilson, but there's the ocean. Well, yeah, Sean. Wow. Holy cow! Wow. I can only dream of living up to Robin Williams.
That's
range.
fair. That's fair. There's no way they wrote any of that in the script, and they were just like, Robin is Robin. In the end, Daniel gets a job with.
It's a movie company. He's like the ground worker for the shipping and receiving and stuff like that. And so then we jump over to his new apartment.
Right before that, you have Miranda and Stu meet up.
Oh,
at
she's
the
a
real
floozy.
Estate. Yeah, they meet up at the real estate, and they're talking about realty. And Stu is all like, I'd love to get reacquainted.
It's just like, we could redo the upholstery right here, put some tiling on the floor.
I'm just saying, Stu's about to get reacquainted with my foot up his butt if he keeps this up.
Okay. I hear you. But at the same time, like, the man's just trying to make a move. He doesn't know her situation, right? Until she tells him.
Yeah, she said, I'm going through a divorce right now. And then he's like, that ain't gonna stop me. I'm just saying,
Commitment,
even if
you
she
know?
was married, I get the vibe he's one of the guys who would say, just because they're the goalie doesn't mean you can't shoot. I feel like he's one of those guys.
Could be, but I choose to believe that his character is more pure than that.
Wow.
Maybe.
So
now,
the kids are
now
at,
we're with dinner
yeah,
with dad.
now we're
Yes.
at dinner with dad.
It's kind of messy.
Yep.
The apartment's pretty small, and the oldest daughter, Liddy, is like, Dad, you can do better. You're not trying very hard. Try harder, all right? The kids are very on board to like be with Dad,
Yeah,
spend
they
time with
love
Dad. They
Dad.
love Dad, which is great. And so they're like, Dad, you got to get things together so that we can see you in 3 months. Like,
Yeah,
so that
not
we can,
just once a week.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're having dinner, and they're just like, you know, and then their mom shows up a little bit early, and he's like, now sit back down. You're my dang kids too.
Yep.
He uses more colorful language to that, but and then the youngest daughter repeats it to their mom. But anyway,
Yeah. So then the mom Miranda shows up, and she talks about how she's putting out flyers for a nanny because she can't watch the kids while she's at work. And Daniel's like, "Well, I can do it," and she's like, "No,
absolutely not." And so he's
not
like, well,
anybody but you."
Can I at least see the ad? Like, I want to know what's going on with my kids. And when he has the ad, Miranda goes to get the kids, and he changes the phone number on the thing, and so nobody's going to be calling, like nobody who sees the ad is going to be calling the correct number. But that's when he steps in with a master plan.
Yeah. So Daniel starts calling Miranda, and using his plethora of voices, he's able to be like, you know, "Never get out here. I'm gonna whoop your butt," and it's like he's playing the worst possible applicant.
Do you have what kids do you have?
Well, we have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Oh, no, I don't do the males. See, I don't do them because I was one.
It's the whole fiasco. Miranda's like, all of these clients suck.
Yeah.
And Daniel's sitting on the bed. And thank goodness caller ID was not a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel's plan would
with
not work at
nope.
all in the 21st century unless you bought like 27 burner phone.
Yeah. Which, that might have been excessive. But, you know, it's his kids.
Yeah.
And that's when he goes in for the kill.
Honestly, that would be the least big
expensive
thing
part.
he does for his kids in this movie. Anyway.
Enough. So that's when he goes in and he calls and he's like,
Who is this?
This is... Didn't I give you my name, dearie?
No, I don't think so.
This is... And he's like, he's scrounging around. He sees a newspaper and it says, police doubt that the fire or whatever. And he goes, Doubtfire. You Virginia Doubtfire, dearie. And he plays this old English woman who's like 70s?
Something like that. So he shows up to Uncle Mark's place and he's like, "I need to get a costume fast."
He goes, "I need you to make me a woman." And Mark goes, "Oh, I've dreamed of this day." Or more like, "I've dreamed of this day."
Yeah, that was great. And so you get a fun little montage of Robin Williams dressing up as many different kinds of women.
Yeah.
You know.
There's some wild ones in there.
Yeah. They sing Matchmaker for a little bit.
Yeah, it turns into a musical for a second. It's very
it's
fun.
Fantastic.
They finally land on the look, and he's like, "Is it good?" Mark's like,
"Any more, and you'd look like Mom."
Which is that insulting? I don't know. I really don't know. How old is their mother?
I don't know, but I mean, I love my mother, but as a man, I don't want to particularly look like her. So anyway.
Daniel goes to meet the family as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yes.
You Virginia Doubtfire.
And he just plays Miranda like a fiddle.
That's him playing her.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Okay.
But like Chris makes a comment about how big Mrs. Doubtfire is. Like, "Oh, that's because I used to play soccer for my my school,
my university.
Oh, you play soccer too?" And it's like, ooh, you know,
he's connecting with all the kids because he already knows.
And it's all like, "Oh, Charlotte's Web is my favorite book." And Natty's like, "Oh, me too." And it's like,
it's really cute.
Yeah.
And then they all go away.
The kids go away.
The oldest girl,
She's got an attitude,
which understandable.
Yeah, she's
I
like,
probably
my
would
dad
too.
is fully capable of taking care of us. And yet you
Absolutely.
want to bring this lady on?
Well, I mean, especially like in divorce situations, they're always so messy, and like the kids probably don't know everything that's going on, and like,
Right.
So
Well, but then Miranda starts like berating Daniel in front of everybody,
Yeah.
and then Mrs. Doubtfire's like, "Do you always bash your husband in front of the kids?"
yeah, she's like, "Are you sure you want to do that in front of your children, dear?" She was like, "Well, if I didn't, I would never stop talking about him or whatever."
Yeah.
She's like,
Miranda and Daniel Mrs. Doubtfire go to the kitchen.
Yes.
Daniel almost exposes himself because he knows where everything in the kitchen is, and he
Yeah.
offers to make the tea.
Yeah.
Um,
And she's like, you really know your way around the kitchen, Mrs. Doubtfire.
oh, that's because you've done such a good job arranging everything, dear.
Organizing. You know, my husband never noticed how well organized everything was.
Mrs. Doubtfire gets the job. He gets on the bus. The bus driver hits on Mrs. Doubtfire.
Very weirdly.
Very bold.
The old people in this film are a little...
They got that DBS.
Yeah.
You know, that down bad syndrome.
There it is. There it is. I didn't know how to put that, but that's very good.
Yeah.
Daniel shows back up to his apartment.
And who was waiting there but Mrs. Sellers, Swindler, whatever her name is.
The caseworker.
Just the caseworker. And she's supposed to check in on Daniel to see if he's improving on Monday and Friday nights.
And he walks up and she's
As
there.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
And he's like, oh, hello, dearie. What are you doing here?
I'm here to do my weekly checkup.
That's not Mark, by the way. It's the caseworker.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, wait right here. I'll go get Daniel for you.
Well, why don't I just follow you up?
Sure, of course. Daniel, guess who's here? Oh, Mrs. or not Mrs. Whatever your face is. I'll be right out. He's just changing here real quick, dear. And he says that, and you're like, what? The brother's changing in the same room that the sister's in? It's kind of weird, but anyway. So he takes off to the skies. He runs out and he's like, talks to the caseworker, and he's like, oh, as you can see, like I have an apartment now. Like it's not the most clean of things, but we're making progress there.
My sister is making such a mess.
Yeah.
And then
she makes a great cup of tea though.
I would love a cup of tea, which is so rude to just invite yourself to be like, make me tea.
It's like, well, yeah, it wasn't an invitation, but she took it that way.
Yep. Daniel's like, yeah, right away. Sister, she wants some tea. Oh, yes, let me go make some tea. Oh. And so then he loses the mask as he's trying to put like the fat suit on and like everything. Some like teenage boys across the window see him and they're laughing at him. Yeah. And he's like, stop. And then in his panic, he loses the mask.
And it
gets
falls out
run
the
over
window
by a truck. And so he's
got
sneaks his
improvise.
way. He's gonna go down to the street and get it, but he couldn't. So he in the kitchen making things. Swindler walks in, and so he smashes his face in a lemon meringue pie thing, and it's like, oh, sorry, dear, this is my face mask.
I just put it on. So sorry. And then he starts pouring Mrs. Swindler some tea, and she's like, oh, it's this face mask is really just made out of egg whites and sugar and all that stuff. And it starts melting off his face. One plops in the cup and she says, do you like some sugar there? Oh, there you go. There's one. And another plops. Oh, well, there's another for you.
It's disgusting.
And as you can see, my face is melting, so I'll go and get Daniel for you. And so then he goes back and then changes back and comes out.
Mrs. Sveller like tries some of the thing on her face.
Yeah.
Which is disgusting.
And then she eats it.
Yeah.
He passes that off, and then he goes back to Mark's place the next day, and he gets a new mask. Be very careful with her, please. She's a very old woman. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Mark, I will.
He goes to his first day on the job as Mrs. Doubtfire, and she runs a tight ship. She's a host captain, like Queeg. And so she turns off the TV. Like, no TV. But we always watch TV. Ooh, not anymore.
There'd be no Dick Van Dyke for you.
Supposed to do homework, but then Lydia talked back, and it's like, there will be punishment if you don't listen to me. And they're like, really? And then Doubtfire makes them clean everything. Yeah. And they were like, Lydia, what have you done to us?
And so then eventually they actually go upstairs and start to do their homework. And that's when Daniel tries to cook, and it goes very poorly.
He did not know how to cook at all.
Not a bit.
He catches his fake boobs on fire.
It is like, I smell rubber. What is that? And then he looks down. His shirt's on fire, and
he's like, "Dang!" And so he orders like really expensive takeout, like
$120, or he ends up paying $140.
Yeah,
that's a lot to live up
and
to.
then he pretends to plate it.
And
he delivers it and makes it look like he cooks it.
Which I can't remember. Did he change shirts? Surely he changed.
I think
shirts.
he had an overcoat maybe that he like
shirts?
must have put on or something like that.
Okay.
So then Miranda comes home and she is just like overjoyed that the house is clean. The kids did their homework. They were at dinner. As Mrs. Doubtfire is leaving, Lydia comes out and is like, "Hey, sorry for being such a butt, but you made my mom really happy, and she hasn't been that happy in like maybe forever." Aww. And Mrs. Doubtfire's like, "Ooh."
Of course, dear. Now get back inside before you catch cold. Dude looks like a lady.
Yeah.
Dude looks like a lady.
And during this montage, you have Daniel learned how to cook properly.
Uh-huh.
He makes lobster, which is also probably pretty
Dude,
expensive.
yeah. If he's cooking like that for the children every night, first of all, he's blowing through his budget, which I don't know what his budget is, but it's expensive.
To be fair, he is working 2 jobs, but you see him playing soccer with Chris and like doing all of the great things.
And then Stu, we see Stu start to drop off Miranda at the house,
like kisses her,
and Daniel sees and he waves, and then Stu walks away and he gives him the finger.
Yeah, it's a wild time. At the end of the montage, Mr. Doubtfire arrives, and Stu is already at the house.
Yep.
And they start.
His Mercedes is out front, and Daniel busts off what the hood ornament. That's what it's called. Yeah.
They start talking to Stu, and it's getting, pretty feisty.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's making all the side comments that's making people uncomfortable, like, oh, you know what they say about somebody who has a car that size, dearie. He must be making up for some small. Yes.
Yeah.
And
Stu was like, my family lived in England for a while. What part did you say you're from? Your accent's a little muddled.
Oh, all over, dear, really. It's here and there and a bit of everywhere.
I thought you were going to say the line, Ditch.
Oh, what's the line?
It was like, your accent's a little muddled. Oh, really, dear? So's your tan.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one.
Then Amanda pulls
Mrs.
Doubtfire
aside. Yeah.
And it's like, can I ask you kind of a personal question?
What is it, dearie?
When your husband passed away, did you ever find yourself feeling desires for another man?
Oh, no, dearie. See, after the father of your children dies, complete and absolute celibacy is the only lifelong solution.
Miranda's
she lays
like,
on the
"Ooh."
guilt thick, yeah.
So that happened, and then we got up to
The incident. We'll
the
call it.
incident
Bum,
where
Daniel-
I think at night,
Yeah.
Stu and Miranda are out on a date, and so Daniel taking care of the kids has Mr. Doubtfire. Mr. Doubtfire has to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
And being a man, Daniel just pees like a normal
Just
person.
standing up.
But now Chris for
walks
some reason,
in.
the light is clearly on.
Yeah.
He doesn't knock. I just don't.
That's why I love locks on all my doors. Like, don't ever assume somebody's just gonna assume that somebody's in the bathroom just because the door's closed. I like to lock the doors.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. And so, but
Chris
Chris
just
just
walks
walks
in
in
on his
and
dad.
sees that Mr. Doubtfire is peeing like a man.
Yeah.
And
he's
run.
like, lady, call the police. Mrs. Doubtfire's a dude. And she's like,
what?
He has it? Yeah, he has all of it.
And so then Daniel comes in and he comes clean. He's like, guys, it's me. It's your old man.
Dad, you want to wear that? It's just a bodysuit. I didn't get any operations or anything.
Yeah. The deal is Lydia and Chris now know, but they can't tell Natty because Natty can't keep it secret. And they definitely can't tell Mom.
Otherwise, he'll never see his kids again, basically, because he's defying the court order.
Yep.
And so now we finally go back and we visit Daniel's other job. We'll just say it's a TV station.
Yeah.
And there is a dinosaur giving a presentation on dinosaurs. It's a very old dude.
Here's this, and here, he's a dinosaur.
And the cameraman's falling asleep.
Everybody is having a terrible time.
Daniel comes up and he's like, man, what idiot kept this show on for 25 years?
I did.
Oh, Mr. Jonathan Lundy. And who are you? I'm a former employee. He's like, well, we'll see.
Yeah. But Daniel's funny.
Yeah.
And he's clever.
He's
and
cracking jokes about the whole
cracking
thing.
jokes, and clearly Mr. Lindy is loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Now it comes the part where
what happens is Daniel and Miranda have a heart-to-heart about relationships and what's not.
Yeah,
They sit down and have some tea. Kind of explains to Daniel why she left Daniel, or she explains to Mrs. Doubtfire why she left Daniel. So Daniel's getting to hear all these things. And basically, she's like, he was super funny. He was not like anybody that I knew. He was not a corporate person. He wasn't serious. And then things eventually just stopped becoming funny. It was more of a hassle to come home and have to clean up his mess and all that stuff. And he's like, well, did you talk to him about any of this, dearie? Well, not really. And it's like, well, okay. So maybe you shouldn't have divorced him so quickly and actually talked about this.
She's like, nothing would help. Counseling would never do anything. And it's like, counseling sounds like exactly what you
You don't
needed.
know. You didn't try.
Yeah. But Amanda says, she didn't like who she was around Daniel, basically, because it turned her into even more of like a straight edge kind of person.
Daniel's starting to get a better picture of kind of how to mature as a husband and a father. And so this is kind of where some of his growth starts.
Yeah.
But then kind of get an egress because they go to the pool. The family is invited to the pool by Stu, and it's a very fancy pool and whatnot. But obviously, Mrs. Doubtfire can't get into the pool, or as you know, he'll be exposed as a man.
Yep.
And so he sits out at the bar and he's just watching Stu move in on his family. He's getting all frustrated and irritated. And Stu comes up and he's talking with one of his friends at the bar. And he's like, dude, who's the woman with the baggage? And he's like, oh, that's the lady I'm seeing and her children. He's like, what, dude? I thought you were like all corporate.
Kids? Yeah, you hate kids, right?
And it's like, well, biological clock is ticking. And they're also super cute. And so I'm like, maybe Stu's heart's in the right place. I don't really know.
Yeah, I was so ready the whole time for Stu to be like, hey, I'm just, Daniel said earlier in the movie, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free kind of guy.
Yeah.
But he was just like genuinely like, man, like these kids,
yeah,
he seemed like a lot.
He seemed like an okay guy.
But Daniel's still upset and he throws a lemon at...
He's like, oh my goodness. He hits Stu in the back of the head and he turns around and sees Mrs. Doubtfire. She's like, oh my goodness, I saw it. There was a young man, and he walked by. He was walked by fruiting. I'll go get him for you,
dude. Just like whatever. I don't make. So then I think we come back to the TV station.
Yes,
if I recall correctly, and it's late in the hours. The dinosaur show featuring the dinosaur is not. It's set up, but nobody's there, and Daniel just goes in and he starts basically playing with the dinosaur. And he's like, I'm a Raptorosaurus, and this is my Raptor song. I'm going to go and get turned into soil, and then at the end, I'll turn into oil, or something like that.
Yeah. And the whole time, Mr. Lundy's watching this.
And he's just loving it. Daniel's clearly, he's a natural talent.
And so Mr. Lundy's like, let's have dinner on Friday at 7 at Bridges.
And Daniel's like, absolutely, so I'll be there.
Of course. So then the next night, we have Miranda's getting ready for a hot date with Stu. Holding up some dresses, and she's like, all right, kids, which one should I go with, the flashy red one or the slick black one? And then Mrs. Doubtfire walks by, and she's like, Mrs. Doubtfire, which one should I go with? And she's like, well, what are you wearing it for, dearie?
It's a date that Stuart's taking me on.
Oh, well, then in that case, you should wear this ugly black frock.
Yeah,
you don't want to be an exposed woman now, do you?
Lydia does him dirty. And it's like, I think she should wear the short black dress.
You're like, help your dad out, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Mrs. Doubtfire showed off like, you asked for my opinion and you don't even want it.
Whatever. And she's like, well, you better get dressed up too. And she's like, why? Because Stu has invited the entire family, including you, to go to this dinner because it's going to be her birthday. That's what it is.
Her birthday dinner.
It's Miranda's birthday dinner. Yeah.
And it's at Friday at 7 at Bridges.
Of course. Oh, is it dear? Well, you see, I have my bingo night then. And
well, then let's cancel it.
But I'm pulling the balls. I can't do it.
I don't care.
Well...
Do it.
And then the youngest daughter goes, oh, it would be the same without you, Mrs. Doubtfire. And she's like, what? Who could deny a face like that?
You can.
Yeah, should have.
So,
absolutely.
So now the final part of this movie is Daniel having to play both himself and Mrs. Doubtfire at the dinner.
Yeah. All of it could have been avoided if he had just said no as Mrs. Doubtfire.
And there are so many times at this dinner, I feel like he could have, as Mr. Doubtfire, just be like, oh dear, I gotta go, and then just never come back.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And there's just the whole conflict of the end part here is so avoidable.
Yes, but it's pretty funny watching him try to balance the two.
Yeah. So he shows up to dinner as Mr. Doubtfire.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Lundy walks in right in front of them.
In front of them and go to the non-smoking seating. The family's about to go to the non-smoking seating because, the family with the little girl. And Mr. Doubtfire, oh, dearie, smoking, please. I used to be addicted, and now this is the best way for me to
stay away. I just need a whiff of nicotine every now and then, which exposing the children's worth that? I don't know. But anyway, family goes to the smoking area.
Yeah, so
they
they're
all
separate
sit
areas.
down. Yeah. They get menus.
Some Chardonnay. Daniel has his first drink of the menu this evening.
And then he goes to the bathroom, and he changes and goes to meet Mr. Lundy for the first time.
Yeah. Well, on his way to the bathroom, Natty and Miranda were in the women's bathroom, and Mr. Doubtfire is about to walk into the men's bathroom to turn into Daniel. Yeah. And they're like, Mr. Doubtfire, the women's bathroom this way. He's like, oh, of course. And so now he's got to do all of it in the women's bathroom, which really actually doesn't end poorly at all.
Which is surprising.
Very surprising.
Because there's a lady in there for one of these quick changes. Mrs. Doubtfire goes in the stall. Daniel comes out, and it's very confusing.
Yeah. So then he goes back in as Daniel and talks to Mr. Lundy. He's like, you can't.
They throw back.
Oh, yeah. Daniel's
so
like,
many
I'll have whatever he's having.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lundy's like, make it true. And so they start throwing back lots of scotch.
Which I've never had scotch myself, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty high in alcohol content.
Yeah.
So
it's very high.
he's gonna let away.
I don't know. I don't know how he's doing it. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
If it's not like 90% sugar, I can't have it.
Yeah. He makes the initial interaction, and then he goes back into the bathroom, changes back into Mrs. Doubtfire, comes back out.
She loses her dentures
That's
into
what it is, yeah.
his fake women teeth
Yeah,
into the
in the Chardonnay.
in the Chardonnay,
Yeah.
and you like flick the water off into stew, and then like everybody leaves, and Daniel just starts basically as Mr. Doubtfire being like really crass and gross with him.
Yeah.
And it's like
basically
like, what do you think you're doing?
Wife, yeah.
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 Then they finally order food, and
Stu's like, but no pepper for me, please. I'm actually allergic to
allergic,
pepper,
yeah.
so no pepper.
Mrs. Doubtfire makes the excuse to be able to go apply the dentures back. So he leaves, come back as Daniel, but he doesn't get all the lipstick off.
Yeah.
And he's put extra perfume on. So now,
And Mr. Lundy's like,
that woman's perfume? And are you wearing
Yes.
lipstick? Why?
somebody I used to date is a waitress here, and on my way to the bathroom, she couldn't keep her hands off me.
I see. She got any friends?
Well,
And this is the second creepy old man who's got DBS of the movie, by the
Yes.
way.
yeah. And so he's like, well, I'll go check for you. Let me see if I can get a double date situation. Wink, wink. So
Yep.
then he goes back, changes into
And in the
Mrs.
meantime,
Doubtfire.
he had like 5 more drinks.
Yeah, this guy, he needs to stop. He makes the change back, and then on his way back to the table, Mrs. Doubtfire goes into the kitchen and puts a load of cayenne pepper onto Stu's plate. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know how Stu didn't see that there was like a pile of pepper on his plate before he took a bite, but he
Yep.
didn't. And so,
But then Daniel messes up because he's so drunk. He goes and sits back down at Mr. Lundy's table.
yeah,
but
as
dressed
Mrs.
as Mr. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
He's like, can I help you, ma'am?
What are you talking about? I'm here, Mr. Lundy.
Daniel? Why are you dressed as a woman?
Well, meet the new host of your show,
Mrs.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Why
You
on
Virginia
earth
Doubtfire.
would I do that?
Older ladies are more relatable?
It's
I don't
basically like,
remember the
imagine how
excuse he
funny
gave.
it'd be if she's cool and smart and she can hip. What the cool rhyme show? And it was just like, and then
It starts
Stu,
dying.
yeah,
on
he
the-
takes a
the
bite
pepper.
of this pepper infected food and is
That was a good impression.
yeah.
And then and Daniel sees this and he's like, "Oh dear, I killed the man." And so he goes and he like pole vaults over a table or something like that, jumps over, and he starts giving him the Heimlich maneuver.
It takes a hot minute.
It takes a hot second, but eventually they like both fall back, and then the shrimp shoots out of Stu's mouth,
and lands on
Yep.
the plate or whatever. But Daniel's mask comes like half off.
During all this, he like loses his wig, his mask comes half off, he stands up, and Miranda sees him, the youngest daughter sees him, she's like, "Dad?
The whole time.
I gotta leave. I gotta go. We're
Yep.
gonna go." And she has a mental breakdown, which is
Valid.
fair. Very
Valid.
fair. The gig is up, the whole thing's up.
Yeah.
And then we cut back to the court, and now Daniel is representing himself because he didn't like what the other lawyer was doing for him.
Yep.
And basically, he's on the line. He'll visit his kids every Saturday, but he has to do it with somebody there, like a court ordained.
Yeah, he makes a big
chauffeur.
confession of like, you gotta understand, I love my kids. There's nothing I wouldn't do without them, and I'm crazy for them. And,
And the
the
judge
judge
is like-
honestly
Makes a fair call.
makes very fair call of like, you're insane. That was an insane thing that you did, and
Yeah,
so
obsessive,
yeah,
if
you
anything.
can't be trusted. Miranda knows obviously that Daniel is not posed a danger to the kids,
Yeah.
but she said nothing.
Yep.
And just lets the judge pass the, as Daniel will later say, despicable sentence.
And so now he can't see his kids unless there's a chauffeur or whatever it's called with them.
Yeah. So everybody's depressed. The kids
Yeah.
are super depressed. They're trying to hire other nannies, and they are all hot garbage. There's one nanny they interview is like, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't educate, I do not read, I do not put kids to sleep, I do not
do
look, I do not
diapers.
walk, I do not do like, what do you do?
I sit around and you pay me. It's what it sounds
That's a
like.
great gig.
If you get paid for it, sure. I don't know who will hire you.
And they're all like, I miss Mrs. Doubtfire. And
And they'll talk about him like she's like they don't.
They keep on being like, I miss Mrs. Doubtfire. Yeah, she was the best. You mean him, Daniel?
It was your dad, your father. You remember that? Yeah.
And
which eventually
then,
Miranda's like, guys, Mrs. Doubtfire doesn't exist. And you're like, okay, thank goodness.
Yeah, but it was just so odd.
Yeah.
And then you hear in the room, hello, my dear
Dad, and they go run into the living room, and it's actually the TV, and it's Mrs. Doubtfire on the TV show, talking about whatever things. And there's this puppet monkey that she interacts with.
Yeah,
it's a great TV show. At least we can conclude it is.
Yeah,
big hit, smash hit.
Look at Daniel go. He's got like a job and is successful, and he's using his
taken
talent
off.
well.
Yes, finally.
And
so Miranda goes and visits him at the set, and after a shoot, Mr. Lundy's like, oh, we got a call from Hollywood. This is going to go big, man. You're going to be famous. And he's like, oh, yeah, thank you, Mr. Lundy. And then Miranda's there. She's like, Daniel. He's like, oh, you, what do you want? Yeah. She's like, can we talk, please? And he's like, yeah, sure, stay here. They have a little bit of a tiff.
Miranda being like, the kids really miss you and they need you.
Yeah.
And Daniel's kind of called her out of like, you said nothing.
Yeah. And now I can't even see my kids,
without,
basically.
Like, do you know what it's like to not even be able to hug my kid without somebody wondering what you're doing?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Miranda starts to second guess her decision and all of that. And so then
back to the kids.
With the kids, and they're being depressed. So there's a knock at the door. Miranda's like, okay, this new babysitter, I really think is going to be the one.
It's Mrs. Doubtfire. No, it's Daniel.
It's Daniel. And they're like, Miranda talks to the court, and basically
they say that she took care of it.
Yep.
So
and Daniel is now going to be the one to take care of the kids during the day, every day. And so that's the situation.
It's very
and everybody's
sweet.
Happy and sweet, and they're hugging each
things
other.
Are starting to mend. And then we end on Mrs. Doubtfire answering a kid's question that was submitted to her about like their parents are getting divorced. Like, what do you do in that situation?
And it's like the kid said, the brother said they're not a real family anymore.
Yeah, she's just like, no, you're always going to be a family. It's just sometimes you have to walk through hard things together.
We didn't finish this one.
So hey, you know what? Surprise ending for you.
Now
go watch the movie, man.
And then you can tell us how
you submit how it ends, and then we will thank you.
Yeah. Now what are some takeaways?
First takeaway is you can only truly be successful in your career if there is a pet monkey involved.
I would agree with that.
That's the conclusion.
That's really the reason the show hadn't taken off, I think, is we don't have a pet monkey.
Well, first of all, we have to get video so people can see the pet monkey.
Well, we could also impersonate a pet monkey. Side note, I don't want to brag, but I pet and held a spider monkey the other day.
I also held the python. Not at the same time that you were holding the monkey.
That would have been cool, though.
Yeah.
If we were, like, looking up at the same moon, holding different animals.
But what's the second takeaway, Steven?
I would say that if you've got this really nice rubber mask that you're going to use to try to manipulate everybody around you, don't leave it on an open window. Move it to almost anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Right? Like, why?
Dresser.
Don't open there was, like, no room. It was clearly a bad plan.
It was a poor spot to place it.
Good third one, in my opinion, is if you really nail down on your beliefs about like smoking, your ideal, and you might get fired and blacklisted from really what was probably his dream job as a voice actor, but then you get to go on and become a nanny on a TV show instead, and everything works out great. So basically, just follow your moral compass and say no to drugs.
Very good. I was wondering how you were going to tie that back into a point. So good job on that one. Yeah. That's that for you.
We you know what? We're brave enough to say it.
And with that, we have been Wack and Trash. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any movie recommendations, then please reach out to us at wackandtrash@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. Or just, if you want to say hi or send a GIF, we'll look at that too. Just make sure it's appropriate.
Yeah, but if you send us a link, we will obviously click on
it. Okay. I think that's enough for today. Hit them with your best British accent, Stephen.
Oi, governor. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Time to go get me a bottle of water. Go Manchester City.
Right.
Right, brother.